Okay, welcome everybody to the Ortelius architecture meeting on May 25th. Let me just get to the So just a couple of things I want to follow up on. First off, Utkarsh, you were working on the with Arvin on those reusable actions for all the new microservices. Any luck on that front?
Yeah, so for setup environment, I was trying that on my local project. So that is coming along pretty good. So if you are fine with that, using that reusable job, right?
Yeah, can you
So
do you have something you can just show us real quick?
oh,
Just so I
right
can.
now, yeah. Okay, give me like 5 minutes. I'm on my smartphone.
Oh, you don't. If you can't, don't worry about it. We can just share it later. I just want to see
Yeah,
how the jobs are structured.
yeah. So I'll make the changes today in the actual repo. Okay, I'll share you the link on the
Okay.
screen. Yeah. So the concept remain the same. Okay, so everything will work as it is because anyway we were referring those output variables from the job, right?
Right.
So everything remains same. It just those section would be present in the other repository and will be called from there.
Got it. All right. Cool. Let me share the doc real quick. Where'd chat go? There is the doc for today. Yeah, because one of the things that we because we're going to have so many workflows that we need to manage, it would be nice to be able to just have a core set of actions that we can change in one place. And I believe dependabot will come along and overnight and bump all the versions if we make a fix to them. So then it's just a matter of doing PRs against the repositories to update, and when we make a change to the reusable ones, which will make things easier.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm typing. Let me just get caught up here real quick. All right, cool. So Garsh will share just share the link when you have it, when you're able to, over Discord.
Yep.
All right, cool. So I think once we get a lot of so once we get these reusable actions sorted out, Arvin will have to go through and kind of do a copy of the YAML files from the new one into all the repositories and do updates, PRs for all that. So once we get like one kind of sorted out, then we'll be able to replicate it to all the other ones. So we'll give you a heads up. Probably will be next week on that front.
Great. I'm looking forward to that task.
Yeah. And then also, Arvin, I have to update the bounty and on the issues. And what we'll do is we'll use your script that you use to approve the PRs as kind of like the placeholder that will get the 3 reviews, so we can then follow along with the bounty payout process.
Okay. And I have to ask one question, that I have to run that dependabot script every day and approve the PR every day?
Pretty much. You'll see the notifications come through. Like I get them through email about dependabot created a PR overnight. And then I'll usually either every day or every other day, I'll take a look at what's happening with the bumps to the versions.
Hope it does not break anything, because I can run it every day.
Right now, I'm not going to break anything because it's just some stubbed out code. So.
Okay, then I will do it. I will my raw PR today.
Yeah. And then also, because we have all the microservices kind of stubbed out and the Helm charts in place, we are able to create the parent Helm chart. And Sasha, I think you're going to pick that one up and start doing a Terraform around it. Is that correct?
Sorry, Steve, say it again.
We have the parent Helm chart being created now for all the new version, Ortelius 11. So you're going to create a Terraform to run everything in kind, correct?
Yeah. The repo is done. Thanks for creating that, and I've added all the base code now. I just got to change the Helm chart where the base code pointing now is just like, just pointing to the old stuff. I'm gonna just update that quickly. I'll do it today.
All right. Right now, I'm not going to push it out to Artifact Hub. I think it'll confuse folks. So we'll just leave it off on its own repository, and once we get further along, we'll publish it to Artifact Hub. All right, and then on that same note, Kat, what do we need to do on the Emporis side to kind of start running everything as like give you a little background. So Sasha has been able to and a few other folks work to put together Helm charts and Terraform and all that to run Ortelius in a kind cluster, K3s, and then also be able to use that kind of like as our little test environment. But then those are then pushed over to Azure, where we're able to run. We have an Azure cluster running. On the Emporis side, what do we need to do to kind of set up that little I want to kick the tires environment?
Good question. Actually, so that's something I have some free time and I can actually work on today, tomorrow. But what I'll do is I will I'll get repositories moved over today. I can make some issues
Yep.
for accomplishing that, and then we can track it that way. Sound good?
Perfect. So one of the things that we do in Ortelius is all of the issues are centralized in the Ortelius/Ortelius repo instead
Okay.
of having issues scattered about. It just makes it a little bit easier for folks to find stuff to work on. So if you could add the issues to that repo, that would be great.
Okay.
And just if you need to prefix them with imports or whatever, however you want to distinguish them. I know like Brad McCoy has been doing labeling things as like a chore. Doesn't matter to me. I'm out there. I'll be able to find them.
Okay, I'll take a look at how closed things have been done before and try to model off of that.
Cool. We got the emperors in a box. It decided that we should be emperors.
So Steve,
Yep.
yeah, what I was asking, is there a way to embed like this Killarcoda thing that we have built, right, in our website?
Oh, that's a good thing. Adam Gardner was working on the Killarcoda piece. We should probably reach out to him to see where he's at. So he's in the Australia. He should be back in Australia now, unless he's on the road. But he did a lot of work on the Killarcoda pieces, so we may be able to leverage what he already has done and documented. If not, then we can figure out the next steps on that. Do you want to reach out to him? Do you know him,
Yeah.
Lukash?
Yeah, I know. I'll reach out to him.
I think he may have done some training videos already.
Oh,
Or setup videos.
yeah, at least like I saw like what steps are required. They have like documented on the Artifact Hub side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe he has documented those.
And I think in like Killarcoda, you could kind of like publish your solution. And then it has like a box on the left for like what you need to do next. So it kind of walks through kind of a cut and paste command thing. So
Yeah,
and I know Adam had a lot of that already in place. But that's kind of one of those nice things to be able to walk somebody through getting them up and going type of scenario.
correct.
And one of the things I found with the Killarcoda is you have to expose, and Sasha, you ran into this with one of the other Kubernetes environments where you have to expose the node port and ignore using the ingress. So you're on mute, Sasha.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's right, Steve.
So that's one thing I found with like the firewall and Killarcoda. You have to go with the node port forwarding route versus an ingress. For some reason, I tried to get the ingress, like even on the K3S up on the Killarcoda to work, and something with their port mapping and the IP forwarding. It just doesn't expose what you need to get the routing to work correctly. But doing the node ports is the way around it, and I believe that should be documented in the Helm chart if you want to run under Killarcoda.
Okay.
All right, cool. Directions. And I think once we get that sorted out, being able to either do a blog or links off of the website on how to kind of that walkthrough piece. And we should definitely do this for both Ortelius and Emporus.
Yeah.
Those are the main things that I had. The only other thing is the microservice for the NFT storage. Utkarsh, you're going to handle that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually that is pretty ready, but do you have like the Rango DB dump, like whatever data you have?
I can, let me see if it's persisted, and I will get that to you. If
Yeah.
not, you could I can get you set up with running the commands for, so the microservice that I created kind of like as our starting point is just the domain microservice, which will allow you to create a domain, retrieve a domain, and list a domain. So it's a pretty simple microservice that you just run some curl commands to post the payload over. So I can get you those commands. I'll send them to you on Discord so you can run it locally. And then you can kind of plug in the next part with the long-term storage.
Okay. And other thing was you were like also talking about adding a like a flag or something that will tell us like if this particular value has been persisted to NFT storage or not, right?
Yeah, we have to figure that out. I have to look at in the architecture diagram. There was and the domain's a bad example because the name of the domain and the value is all in one. It's not like a component or like a user. So we may want to implement like a user, implement the user microservice, because you have the username and then like the user's profile, like their email address, their phone number, and stuff like that. So the search key is basically the username, and then all of the user's profile is persisted in long-term storage. And then you want to be able to find, that's where that flag, that cache flag you're talking about comes into play.
So what I was thinking, if there is some flag, right? So what I can do, I can like rather than using a pull mechanism, right? So pull mechanism in the sense, I'll be like invoking a API from the other layer, right? To
Right.
persist this document to NFT. But I have like those flags in the place. What I can do, that abstraction layer, right? That itself will pull up the data and see like what all values are not there in NFT, and take care of persisting those values.
Yeah, so the your microservice should, because it's a microservice, we changed up the architecture slightly. So originally we're going to have the microservice for like the user object, talk through a Golang module directly to the NFT storage. And then we changed it up to make it more reusable. So in this scenario, the user microservice will do all the normalization, denormalization of the JSON, and then it'll take the normalized JSON, package that up and send that over to
Rango.
well, it'll store the denormalized version in Orango, and it'll send a normalized version over to your microservice to be stored into NFT storage. So you'll have all the SIDs, and all that will be basically like an array of, it'll be an array of key. It's basically a dictionary. So you have the key and the JSON that needs to be persisted in IPFS. So that will come across. So your microservice will have a single interface, which will be basically a dictionary with the SID and the JSON as in your list that will be posted to you. And then from there on the retrieval side, we'll need to say, I want to go retrieve this SID and all the associated SIDs back and return that list back to me. And then from there, the calling microservice will take that normalized data and denormalize it and store it back into Orango. Does that kind of make sense, the path?
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, you'll make two calls from module. One will be like storing denormalized data to Rango and normalized data to NFT, right?
Correct. And the storing to Orango will be done by that object's microservice.
Correct.
And then,
so basically one call will be internal call and the other will be like HTTP call.
Yes, exactly. And that way your microservice for the long-term storage can be generic. And then when we go to replace NFT storage with the Emporis OCI registry, we'll be able to just swap out that microservice, and so the same data will get sent across, and then we just have to deal with the different persistence at that level.
Yeah, so like I thought about this, but the problem in this case is the long polling, right? Or NFTs are taking like a lot of time sometimes. They're like server are down, or I don't know what is there, right?
Yeah, so that's why.
Yeah, rather than doing two calls, can we just do like one call that will persist data in Rango, and there is this abstraction layer which will schedule like a call every like 30 minutes or so, and the job would be to get all the data and infer like what all data has been persisted, and if the data is not persisted to NFT, persist those, and again update the flag.
Yeah, we could do it that we need that anyways. So let's say we need to rebuild Orango from the blockchain ledger and the NFT storage. We would need that job to go through and build up the cache on the Orango side. But one of the things the one thing we don't want to do is mirror all the data that's in the long-term storage in Orango because we'll have terabytes and terabytes of data. So what we want to do is the Orango really needs to be a cache of basically the name and the SID so we can go find the objects kind of on demand from the long-term storage. And there'll be a lag there that we'll have to do something on the front end saying, we're querying the this repository for your data. We'll notify you when it's been retrieved or something like that.
Yeah. So in that case, like we would need some like classification, like few information we would need to be present, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like component name, and maybe like their dependency or stuff.
Yeah,
other
we
kind
that minimal information, I think we're gonna figure it out on the fly.
Yeah. So
But-
yeah, that was my like understanding. If we can like implement it that way, that will be like we could avoid like few of the problems that would face, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you are good, like I'll continue writing a script there itself. Just like a normal job that will run like every 30 minutes and take care of take care of like persisting data to NFT from Irango.
yeah, exactly. So on the persistent side, so there will be a point in time where we could lose. There's a potential where we could lose data. It's in Arango, but not in long-term storage. And Arango crashes and we lose Arango, the data out of Arango for some reason. But we can put Arango into a high cluster availability to minimize that type of scenario.
Okay.
The other way to do it would be we in the transaction process, you add the data to Arango, and then the next step is we go off and do the request over to the long-term storage microservice, and then we let that run in the background, and we return control back to the end user. And there's a background thread that's waiting for NFT storage to do all of its work and work its way back to mark everything in Arango at that level. So you kind of like kick this thing off detached to go do its work, and then do like a callback to say it got done.
Yeah, basically asynchronous request you want to place. But the problem here is we don't know like how long it will take. So let's suppose there are like 1,000 requests, okay, and 1,000 requests came for like 2 or 3 days, and for 2 or 3 days this NFT storage was not up for some reason or not working for some reason. So in that case, what will happen? Thread will keep on accumulating, and we will end up like situation where heap memory is too much, out of memory situation.
Right. Yeah. So what, like you said, we'll definitely need that job to go through and synchronize a synchronized job, but I think that synchronized job may be separate than the microservice.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah, and anyway, like there would be HTTP endpoints. Okay, so in any case you want to use those HTTP endpoints, you can use.
Yeah. Hey, Kat, have you had any experience with how fast the OCI registries are to persist stuff?
No.
To persist stuff? Sorry,
Right.
catch me up. I was reading something.
So right now what we're running into is we're going to be persisting JSON into NFC storage. NFC storage basically is backed by IPFS. And what we've run into, it can take if NFT storage is up and running, it'll take maybe 5 seconds to persist a piece of JSON into the storage. Now, if you do that, 100 times, you got quite a lag there for a single transaction. And my question is, does OCI have that same type of lag when you go to persist something, that it takes a long time to acknowledge that it got actually stored?
Okay, so when you push an object to an OCI registry, it's like, unless it's a very weird implementation, that's immediately available.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Because the other scenario that we've run into with NFT storage is sometimes they'll do, at least on the dev side, is sometimes that they'll do a maintenance window, and things will be down for a couple hours.
Yeah, last time it was like down for, I think, for days.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not sure because like currently we are using test nets, right? Test nets and dev nets.
Right.
Is there any like more high performance network that we can leverage? I'm not sure.
The NFT storage is the free one, because it's backed by Filecoin.
Filecoin.
Yeah. We'd have to see if there's another one that sits on top of Filecoin, or if there's another implementation out there. I'm sure there is.
Yeah. So if there are like multiple, can we like create a facade and like in the background we can use multiple NFTs? I'm just thinking.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're connected together, if they're totally distinct networks, or because I think I've run into this where there is even though it's still part of NFT storage and the IPFS, that there's a different entry point that's faster, that in the background will eventually replicate to all the other nodes that are out there in the IPFS world. I'll have to check. I think I ran into that, because I remember having to use a different, the IPFS URL, that was slightly changed. So they put the SID first as part of the domain name instead of having the domain / and then the SID.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have everything you need to kind of move forward with your piece, Utkarsh?
I just need to test my application. So what I'll do, I'll see like that application that you have created, right? If I can create some like sample data in Rango and corresponding data to NFS. Yeah, and one more thing. So you have like previously mentioned to use CARs, right? CI, CID,
Yeah.
address, archive registry or something. So right now I'm not using that. Maybe in future we'll see like how we can implement that.
Yes, that is not a requirement to start off with. So, so what we're talking about is it's called a CAR.
Okay.
It's a content archive format, and basically you can think of it as a zip file format for IPFS. And what that allows you to do is you create a CAR, and then you persist the CAR, and it's like takes everything in one transaction and moves it into IPFS instead of having like layers at that level. So it saves you with the number of calls over to the NFT storage and IPFS. So I think right now we don't have to worry about that. But I think down the road, it will help us.
Yeah.
And there is a Golang module that will allow you or help you create the CAR file, basically.
Uh-huh.
So what I remember reading about it was you create all the different layers. So like in your zip file, you have each file would be equal to a layer. So, and then each one of those layers has its own SID, and then you have a parent SID of all the other SIDs. So it's kind of like a hash of hashes. So everything becomes immutable.
Oh.
And that's why you need, and it's a little weird how you create it, because you create like a placeholder SID at the parent level. You go through and add all of your other layers, and then you have to go back and calculate what the layer hash, all the layers in their hash ends up being. And then you go back and update the parent SID with a real hash and replace the placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at doing it in Python. It was just going to be way too complicated because they're just we could have done it, just would have been writing it all from scratch.
Yeah.
We can spend our time better. Okay, cool. So you're set, Utkarsh. Kat, do you have anything on your list that you need?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, Sasha, you're set.
Good, Steve. Thanks.
All right, cool. So Sasha, take a look at the Ortelius in the box for version 11 while Kat works on moving some of the repos over, and maybe next week or the week after, we'll take a look at doing in porous in the box, what we need to stand up there.
Woohoo! That's gonna be super cool.
Cool.
And Arvin, we will keep on working on those reusable actions, and hopefully early next week, we'll be able to roll all those actions out to all the new repos.
Oh, great.
And go
I
ahead and
should be
approve
done.
those PRs that are outstanding.
Yeah, I will do it now after the meeting.
All right, cool.
And I have a good news to share with you. I got a full-time job.
You got a full-time job.
Yeah,
Oh,
Woohoo! Opened.
Nice. Working for who?
World.
working for the Fountain, the same company I was interning. So from this month, they hired me. They offered me the full-time job as the E1 for internal tooling.
Nice.
Nice oven, man.
So have you officially graduated university?
Not yet. I still have 1 more year of my college life left.
that is the good part.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Awesome job, Arvin.
Yeah, well done, Oven.
Thank you, but I didn't get much DevOps job. It's mainly focused on the development part. So I have to learn a lot.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's part of DevOps. Is the
Exactly.
dev side. You gotta learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. And if
Thank you.
nobody has anything else, we will be in touch. Take care, everybody.
Yes, Steve.
Cheers.
Cheers, Kat.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Oven.
Yeah.
Cheers, Akash.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.